A friend of mine came to me and I was surprised to see his car because it was a Range Rover and I was not expecting him to buy such an expensive car. It was a new car, it was a brand new car, and I was not really not expecting how come he's able to afford this car with this limited income. Just to give you a background, he's from real estate and his income is also not consistent. Based on that, it's very difficult to get the loan from the banks on this terms. Like if you are having small amount of income but it is consistent, then bank also consider that and you might be able to get the car loan easily. But in case where your income is not consistent, and especially if you're from real estate, it's very difficult, especially in Dubai, to get the car on loan. But I asked him what is the rationale behind buying such an expensive car. So what he said, basically, he's from South Asia as well. I'm from South Asia as well. He mentioned a very commonly used proverb used in South Asia: "What is visible sells." It means that whatever the appearance you are carrying, it will eventually give you sales. So basically, he's from real estate, so of course he has to be dressed up. He has to have a good car and stuff like that. I don't believe in that. I don't know if you believe in that. Just comment in the comment box. But I have seen people who downgraded themselves but still able to make those sales that they were not able to do it even when they are having a good car. So I think it's all in mind. Anyways, the topic of the video is about the 24-10 rule of buying the car. So let's talk about that rule, because whenever somebody asks me about buying the car, so I tell him the same rule all the time. So let's talk about the few things before we go into the numbers. First of all, do you really need a car? You are the best judge. But many people don't understand that do they really need a car or even a second car? Because I've seen people having a second car just parked in their garages or let's say in their parking and eating dust. Anyways, about those numbers we will talk about a bit later. But first of all, we're going to talk about if you really need a car or not. Let's say if you're living in Dubai and if you're living in a place where is near to the metro station, even in this hot temperature, people do use metro a lot. And I've seen it's very reliable. You can use a different combination of, let's say, metro, taxi, and you can also use the bus. But maybe it's not that easy for you to use such public transport easily. In that case, you might need to buy a car. So I don't disagree on that. Maybe a lot of times it's really required for you to buy a car. But again, it depends on your profession, it depends on your income, and it depends on a lot of other factors, that which car are you going to afford. Now, the second question is that, is it really important to buy a new car or a used car? So it's pros and cons. If you know that you're going to stay in Dubai for a really long time, then it's better to own a car. But if you know that you're not sure or your salary is not that much, then you might be good by renting the car, or even sometimes you might also just renting the car over the weekend when you need some entertainment. Now, although I'm going to talk about this number game in terms of UAE, but it can be implemented in any part of the world. So easily, if you're in a third world country, if you're a developed country, if you're in a first world country, or if you're in a country like UAE, you can implement this formula as it is. So let's talk about this 24-10 rule. What is this 24-10 rule? It gives you a ballpark number how to buy a car and what are the numbers that you need to see before buying a car or before thinking about buying a car. So basically, what is 20, what is 4, and what is 10? 20 means that you have to pay the down payment. You have to pay the 20% down payment on the car. So let's say if I talk about UAE, basically 20% is your down payment that you must pay. 20% is the minimum down payment you have to pay. You can increase the down payment, but this is the minimum down payment you should pay. So let's say if the car is for 100,000 dirhams, you have to pay 20,000 dirhams as a down payment. Now, what is the component of 4? 4 is the component where it mentions that the maximum amount you can lease the car for. Now, this word lease is not probably correct for someone who's viewing from the US, but what it signifies, it is basically the tenure you're taking the loan for. So you don't have to take the loan beyond 4 years. So you can do the loan, let's say for 3 years, let's say for 4 years, let's say for 2 years, but not beyond 4 years. So you have to pay 20% down payment, then you have to let's say take the loan for not more than 4 years, and then the last component is 10. 10 is basically your net, your installment must not exceed the 10% of your salary. Now that we know the numbers, let's talk about some example cars, what you can buy and what salaries you should have. Let's talk about, let's say, 4 or 5 cars. I'm gonna talk about, let's say, Toyota Yaris, I'm gonna talk about Toyota Corolla, I'm gonna talk about Fortuner, Prado, and Nissan Petrol. These are the very popular car in this country, and talking about their prices. So let's say, yeah, I'm just taking an arbitrary number. I'm not sure if these numbers are correct or not, but let's talk about just as a number. So let's say Toyota Yaris is coming at 45,000 dirhams, Corolla is coming at 65,000 dirhams, Fortuner is coming at 125,000 dirhams, Prado is coming at 170,000 dirhams, and Nissan Petrol is coming at 320,000 dirhams. I'm not sure if these values are correct, but this is how it is. Now, the interest rate that the bank is going to charge you, let's assume it is 3%, because it can be high, it can be low, but it depends on a lot of factors. For now, I'm assuming 3%, and 3% I'm talking about as fixed rate. I'm not talking about reducing rate. So the calculation can differ a lot. Let's say sometimes 3% on fixed can be translating to, let's say, 1.6% on floating rate or reducing rate. So it depends on what calculation you are doing. You have to do the calculation beforehand. You should understand what is floating rate, what is fixed rate, what is, let's say, reducing rate. But I'm talking about fixed rate right now, which is generally for the cars they're taking like this, but you have to see your bank what is the calculation they're doing. So let's say if you are going to have the interest rate at 3% and the tenure that you're talking about is 4 years. Now for that, the EMI comes to be around, let's say, 1028 dirhams for Yaris, Corolla is 1484, Fortuner is 2854, 3882 for Prado, and 7307 for Nissan Petrol. Now this comes after you paid the 20% down payment and you made the installment like for 4 years per month. If you talk about the monthly salary requirement based on these monthly installment, you remember I told you that it shouldn't go up beyond the 10% of your salary, take home net salary. This comes to be your salary for, let's say, affording a Yaris, it should be 10,000 dirhams. Affording a Corolla, it should be 14,000 dirhams. Affording a Fortuner, it should be around 28,000 dirhams. Somebody who's buying a Prado should have a salary of 38,000 dirham. Buying a Nissan Petrol should have a salary of 73,000 dirhams. Now, I can tell a lot of people in my circle who does not fit into this formula and have a Nissan Petrol, let's say having 25,000 dirham, 30,000 dirham, 35,000 dirham salary. I mean, you can do anything with your life. I don't mind. I don't have any problem. It's only that if you ask me, this is the formula that one has to use. And for that formula, let's say if you have a 30,000 dirham salary, at max, you can afford a Fortuner, a new Fortuner. And that too for 4 years only, not beyond that. Because then you can easily afford the less than 10% of the let's say of your salary on the car payment. This is a sensible way to think, because you have more expenses after this as well. You have to pay rents, you have to pay your school fees, children's school fees, you have to pay, let's say if you don't have health insurance, you have to pay health insurance as well. You have to, let's say, go for traveling as well. So a lot of expenses are there. Sometimes people will say this formula is very harsh and we cannot apply this, but I don't agree to this, and I always tell them that whatever the situation is, your formula should be this: either you are a family man or either you are a bachelor. Because if you are a bachelor, you might be able to have more take home, more saving done based on your current situation. But mind you, if you live in this country for 10 years and later on you get married, you have family and your family grows, I can assure you that you will have a very hard time saving money afterwards. So you have to be disciplined from the very first day. I hope you like the video. Here are two videos which are very important, and you should also learn about personal finance. I'm making a lot of videos on this channel. I have an Urdu channel as well. You can go watch that as well. I have linked that in the description. Thanks for watching the video. Bye bye.